I've got a message that says, ready when you are. I am ready. Boop, 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 boop.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hello there. I am recording.
So am I.
I'm going to clap in 5, 4, 3, 2.
I think you should count down from 20.
I could, because I know all the numbers.
And that would be good practice for doing them backwards.
It would, but I can do that.
What do you like with numbers in Portuguese backwards?
I'm pretty shit forwards and backwards.
Yeah, numbers.
Yeah, because it's when you learn a language as an adult, you don't start with that. My name is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You don't do that kind of thing, do you? Or at least I didn't.
No, and it's also because words are all abstract, but numbers seem to be like particularly abstract. And I can't. Whenever I hear them, it causes my brain to just go. When I hear numbers in another language, I mean, and particularly in Italian, I know them, and then, but if I have to stop and really go, and like 1985, 1985. I mean, it's so many words.
Yeah, so many more than what 1985.
I know, but it just seems so much more difficult.
This is a podcast in which two friends have serious conversations about silly things and silly conversations about serious things.
I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller.
Welcome to Midlifing. If I take one more message or phone call from a friend who says, wow, Lee's voice is amazing, and then they'll say, yours is quite good too. If I take one more message, anyone out there listening? Nah.
I'm so sorry that's how you feel.
You get the voice, I got the brains, you got... Never was such falser words spoken.
Hey, you got all the good moves.
I got the time management skills.
Yeah.
Wow, well, lucky me. Wait. Ah, shit! I pulled my.
Are you taking your clothes off again? You can't hear me.
I pulled the cord out of the headphones.
Right. So you
go on.
can't hear me. You can't hear me, and you're taking your clothes off again, aren't you?
Sorry. It's because I shut the windows in the room and it gets really warm very quickly. It's so nice to it is nice to hear your voice.
Oh, thanks. Even though people phone you up and tell you that Lee, he's got a voice.
It's I only find it mildly, extraordinarily annoying. It's that little bit like I remember I was at my undergrad, and I remember I had a very dear friend who still is a very dear friend, and we were thick as thieves, and I remember overhearing two women talking about us, and
already I'm cringing for your 20-year-old self.
Yes, I reckon I would have been 19 actually, but so I hadn't even left my adolescence, and it was words to the effect of, it's interesting, when two friends hanging out, there's always a good-looking one and a less good-looking, or and I remember going, wait,
which one am I?
Yeah, and then which one am I? And because I'd never thought about, this is my friend, I never thought, oh, he's good looking. In fact, I don't think I would even still think he's good looking, particularly. But it was clear in this case that I was not. It hurt. It hurt.
So did you not think of him as good looking because you can't see that in the same sex, or because he doesn't appeal to you, he's not your type?
Oh, a bit of both. I mean, I can. I don't think I recognized good looks in men the way I would now.
Right.
That I'm more tuned to the kind of men I'm attracted to. Like, I understand what that is now. And, I developed that, I guess, in my 30s. I think partly being a dancer.
I was going to say, is that because you've slid further down the Kinsey scale as you've got older?
I don't know what the Kinsey scale is.
Oh yeah, of course you do.
I mean, I've heard of it, but I wouldn't. If someone said, "Simon, tell me what the Kinsey scale is," I've got cramp in my foot. Fuck.
What are you doing?
I've got cramp in my arch.
You need salt.
I need a neti pot.
Oh
No,
Nettie
finish the.
has.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Go on.
I'll circle back to Nettie later because some of our unfaithful listeners have begun a Nettie journey.
No.
Yes, I have had reported back. First of all, their anxiety about your brainworm.
I bet. Wait. It's not my.
The brainworms
Thank
that
you.
you have got.
Did they boil? Hopefully, they boiled the water.
Oh, my advice was to boil the water.
Yeah.
I gave them a Nettie pot.
Oh.
Yes.
Is it midlifing branded?
No, it's not.
It should be. It'd be great with that little dog.
Oh, we would be so good if we had our own merch and we just sell
We'd
like
start with
Nettie
We
pots.
should start.
We'd have Nettie pots and douches. That's what we'd sell. The podcast that cleans your cavities.
Faithful and unfaithful listeners, please do let us know if you've got any other ideas for merch, because I think we might have the entire area sewn up, but just in case there's a little bit of space there for something else.
I honestly thought you were going to say, please do, faithful and unfaithful listeners, clean your cavities.
I wasn't. Didn't even come to mind.
Okay, good. That is a huge relief, because the last thing you want to do is to go back to the Kinsey scale. I think it's like, does it go up to 6 or 7? Anyway, like
7,
one end.
normally an odd number, I would have thought.
Well, I think this one might be 6. I'm not sure, actually. Anyway, you've got at one end, let's say it's, I can't remember which way around it is, but let's say it's 0, is exclusively heterosexual. And then at the other end, let's say it's 6 or 7, you've got exclusively
It's 0 to 6, so it is an odd number. It is an odd number, effectively, because it's 7.
Oh, yeah.
It's 7.
Yeah. Seven increments. So were you, I guess what I'm asking, that's why I was asking, have you slid along the scale
Thank you.
as you've gotten older?
That is a very personal question.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Is it too much?
No, I don't think it's too much. I think that's accurate. Put it this way. I don't think I've slid in the sense that I think more that I've become aware of, or that I'm more okay with the idea of.
Yeah.
So I've been encultured, or I was encultured into a very kind of specific perspective or view of masculinity from a very young age. You know, in that kind of culture. And, so it's more that I've just gone more sensitive to it, I think. And, I think it's, I don't know, just much more comfortable with going, he's hot. Like I would say, she's hot, or they're hot, or whatever. But, so I guess to finish the story, I hadn't really, I think it's a bit of both in the sense I hadn't really I wasn't really thinking of men as good looking or not, or handsome or not, or whether I was attracted to men or not. But also, I don't think he's a little bit Tom Cruise-y.
Ah, so just not your type.
Not my type.
Not your speed.
See, you say things like that, and that's why I get all these comments about your voice and turn of phrase. Oh, he's good with words, isn't he? Not my speed. No, he's not my speed. I wanted to ask you a question.
Go ahead and ask it then.
It's like a sports quiz.
Oh, great. I love a quiz, and I love sports. I think I've gone on the record about both of those things.
I have 2 in mind, actually.
Go ahead. Do them both, one after the other.
Okay.
Both barrels.
The first one is,
hit me.
What do you know about Cristiano Ronaldo and water?
I can tell you that he has a flat off the Avenida de Liberdade in Lisbon. I think it was about 14 million. I have indeed looked around it, not in real life, but online. Avenida de Liberdade is a lovely part of town. It's very chic. Well, it's beautiful. It's this lovely wide avenue with lots of trees, very French, and it goes from the Parque Eduardo the 7th. You see, I say 7th because I can't remember how to say 7th in Portuguese.
Yeah.
But it goes from Parque Eduardo the 7th right the way down to the middle of town, and it's just this lovely big boulevard. It's gorgeous, big trees, but there's always planes flying over it, so I never fancy living there. Not that I can afford £40 million for a flat. So that's one thing I know about him.
So you know he's a footballer?
He's a footballer. He's a Portuguese footballer.
Indeed.
He started out very poor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he removed 2 bottles of Coke from in front of him at a Euro 2021. That's what we're calling it. In my head, it's always Euro 96 because that's.
I love that. Like your sports time is frozen in time.
Absolutely.
So yes, the European. You're right. The European. I think they're called the Euros. You're like the European. Whatever is on, and use 2 Coke bottles.
He took them out of the way from in front of him, and he did a beautiful, like, really far reach to kind of put them as far away from him as he could.
So out of frame.
Out of frame, exactly, because this is a press conference, and then just picked up a bottle of water and went, agua!
That's exactly. And then what happened? What do you know what happened
Something
next?
like 5 billion, 4
think it
billion
was
or
4
something
billion.
was wiped off Coke share prices, or the Coke portfolio.
I'm so impressed. And then do you know about what happened with Paul Pogba?
Pol Pot. Pol Pot, he's not a footballer. He's a dictator. Famous for the killing fields. He's a bad guy. Don't put him on the same
Unrelated
level as Cristiano Ronaldo. Not at all. No
Paul
relation.
Pogba. And what he did was, at his press conference when he won the man of the match against, I think they were playing Germany. And what?
Sorry, I'm just when anybody says the man of the match, 2 things happen. In my head, I think you're going to say the man of La Mancha, and I get really excited that we're going to talk about the musical of Don Quixote, but we never do.
I mean, maybe we could save that for next week's episode. I've never even heard of it.
No, you wouldn't. It's a 1960s musical that is. Yeah, it's one of those. So the man of the match, not the man of La Mancha.
And the sponsor of the man of the match award is Heineken and Paul Pogba.
Homem de jogo, which is how you say it in Portuguese.
Heineken?
No, homem de jogo, the man of the match. I don't know how I know. That's the thing I've learned.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Paul Pogba, being a Muslim, looks at the beer and just takes it and put it right out of view underneath he doesn't drink alcohol, has no interest in supporting. And so now it's become a thing at all these press conferences that someone does something with the drinks. So that it's almost kind of becoming mimetic. That's the first part of the quiz. There's one more question.
Ooh, okay. I thought that was the same part of the same quiz.
No, I was just impressed. And I've just been really enjoying, I have to say, these. I think Cristiano Ronaldo's response in particular, agua, was fantastic. So the other one is a little bit more serious, though.
Oh, crap.
Who is Ollie Robinson?
I don't know.
That is interesting. There's a question in here. Ollie Robinson is an English cricketer.
Okay.
And he was picked for the first time to play against New Zealand in the first test, which was a couple of weeks ago. The morning that he was picked, it came out that he'd done some tweeting in his teens. Mm-hmm. Ring any bells yet?
Nope.
And these tweets, you have to do a bit of scrounging around to find them, but they're out there. And they're at best obnoxious, sexist, racist. This came out the morning of his debut, I guess you'd call it. He's, appears in front of the cameras, deeply sorry for anyone who's been offended, the usual stuff. But then also of talking about the need to educate himself. Mm-hmm. So these were tweets that he posted as a 18-year-old, I think. So what is that? So he would have been 9 years ago, okay. 2012. Mm-hmm. And since then, so he played that test, did very well, actually. And then it was decided that he should be suspended from the English cricket team. Mm-hmm. And 2 people weighed in. One is the Minister of Culture and Sport. What's that ministry called? And I don't even remember the minister's name, which is just terrible that I don't remember his name. He said that the English Cricket Board, ECB, I think it's called, had gone too far, mm-hmm. Implying that he shouldn't have been suspended, that he was just a kid. Mm-hmm. And then Boris, our leader, agreed.
Mr. Johnson.
Bojo, he agreed that the ECB.
Can I just pause you
Yeah.
for a second? Can we agree to call him Mr. Johnson?
Okay.
I don't want to humanise him
Well,
because
Mr. Johnson's not dehumanising him, though, is it?
No. But I don't want to by humanising
Make him
him.
friendly.
I don't want to make him friendly. I don't want to kind of do that sort of cute neutering of him.
Mr. Johnson.
Or the Prime Minister of the UK.
He also agreed that the ECB had gone too far.
Okay.
And I just wonder what you think. I wonder what you think about things you might have said and done as a teenager coming back at you.
First of all, the things that I said when I was 18 can't come back to me because I'm from an analog age.
Yeah.
Anything that I wrote would have been on a piece of paper. It wouldn't have been circulated or shared, and by now has probably been burnt. Not because it was egregiously offensive, but because, I had a fire to start at some point. So
okay.
it's very
So it's not
difficult.
possible for it to happen.
No, exactly that. And it's also kind of slightly difficult for me to imagine what it's like to have my formative thoughts captured in amber in that way.
Oh, in amber.
So that's just sort of
it is hard to imagine, isn't
it's
it?
yeah.
As a teenager,
exactly.
that conceptualizing that is so complex.
Yeah. Not just because it's like 30 years ago, which is, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But also because there's no mechanism. So anything that I might have said when I was 18, offensive, inoffensive, delightful, despicable.
And you would have said all of those things, right?
Absolutely, because I'm a human being with a mouth.
Yeah.
Anybody could repeat them back to me at this point and say, you said this thing and it really hurt me. And I will not be able to say, no, I didn't, because I will just have to go, God, I'm really sorry that I did that. What a twatty thing. Hope you're okay. Much love. That's as far as it can go because it's a he said, she said kind of a situation.
Yeah.
So that's kind of just to sort of put a pin in the idea of me. I can't dream myself into this situation.
Yes. I love that idea just of dreaming. Anyway, sorry, go on. I don't want
to. No. I think I'm more interested in the response of two ministers than I am in negotiating whether or not
the English Cricket Board should suspend.
I'm not even fussed about whether or not the English Cricket Board should or shouldn't suspend. I'm gonna park all of that, and I think I'm going to focus on these two ministers having an opinion about something. In the similar-ish week that Priti Patel goes on the record saying, I don't think it's okay for people for football players to take the knee, and I think it's okay for people to boo them.
Yes.
So for me, this is all part of the same thing.
It's
not
cultural
about
stuff, isn't it?
Exactly. It's not about what they genuinely believe. And to get lost in the narratives becomes sophistry. It's just park it. It's nonsense. Because what he did or didn't say, whether it's egregious or not egregious, that's between, him and his conscience. And if he's genuinely repentant, we have to be able to move on and make mistakes. We have to be able to grow. And if he's saying it for, to save face, I don't know. I can't see into his soul. I'm not. We've said enough, I think, in these conversations about the idea of our difficulty that we have about the idea of cancellation, particularly because it prevents people from genuine remorse and being able to recover. But at the same time, that whole I'm sorry if it caused offence is not an apology.
Yep.
An apology is I am sorry, I did something, but it was shit. But I'm going to park all of that and just go, you've got three ministers in a government, all of whom are engaged in...
Well, very successful. It is a very successful strategy on their part.
But it's keeping these narratives of the liberal elite wanting to tread down the working man, all of that sort of stuff, that we can't really have an opinion. We're not allowed to say what we feel. But at the same time, the moment that we see a version of free speech that they don't like, which is the entire team taking a knee, taking a stand against the idea of racism, oh, that's not okay. That's not what this game is about. You can't have it both ways, but apparently you can. It's
also I'm not going to. Well, it's going to sound like a defense of them, but it's also that they were probably asked in a press conference, which might have been a press conference about something entirely different, right? So, I mean, you could say, well, they could just say, I don't have anything to say about that. But it's also, there's an opportunity there afforded by being asked the question, right? They would have been giving a press conference and then that would have come up because I very much doubt it was volunteered, unless it happened on Twitter, of course, because they're all on Twitter, and so it's possible.
But doesn't it become an interesting thing to take away from the meat of the other conversation? Because we obviously aren't talking about the things that were being discussed in the press conferences.
It's totally throwing out something for people to gorge on in their feeds.
Chum.
It's totally like that.
It's chum in the water.
I think that's what you're talking about there is politics. Politics is saying, look here, don't look here. Look here, don't look here. In fact, that you might just say that's journalism as well. Or, in fact, what we do, it's saying, look here, don't look here. It's just the art of distraction, it's theatre. I mean, it's the art of disguise and manipulation, and you disagree.
I think I'm pausing because I don't disagree with some of the stuff that you just said. You're absolutely right.
I did make a long list then, it's true.
Well, I don't think, I mean, everybody knows my politics, but I don't think my observation was particularly partisan. I think I'm more disappointed in our ability to absorb and to chew the chum that's thrown to us and then get lost in the feeding frenzy and that's the bit I think that makes me sad, that we swallow
lap
narratives.
it up.
Yeah, absolutely. We swallow narratives. And I know I am absolutely as guilty as the next person of swallowing narratives and going, oh, but this and getting kind of riled rather than taking a breath and going, where does that come from? What's behind it? But I think I probably disagree when you say that it's like this podcast. I don't think everything is just distraction. Because I don't think we are saying, look over here, don't look over there.
Oh, did I say this podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
We are absolutely saying, look over here. And also, I think we're often saying, but please look over there, because we don't really know what's over there because we're not qualified to talk about it. And then we often get lost in the fact that we're constantly pointing somewhere else and going, oh, this is difficult. Oh, I don't get this.
Yes.
Oh, I'm quite confused. Oh, this makes me anxious.
Yes.
And I think that for me, and I am not saying, look at us on a pedestal.
But we're not obfuscating in the sense we're not, it's not like we're trying to say, there's not a kind of a,
I asked
it's
you
not
a question.
A sinister or.
No. We're not saying I didn't inhale. I asked you a question at the beginning, earlier on in the podcast about have you slid down the Kinsey scale?
Yes.
And you answered it honestly. You said yes. Now, you could say we're at a point in history where there's less heft.
Cultural,
heteronormative
heft is,
But nevertheless, you as a cisgendered, heterosexually displaying man in a committed relationship to a woman has said, yes, over my life, I have become more fluid in what I find attractive. Actually, I think that's a big deal. I think it's a big deal to say, I think I might be a 2 or a 3 on the scale. Not everything is distraction.
Yeah.
Because when we didn't talk about him and them, the player and the cricket board, we weren't saying, look over there. We were saying, but what about that thing? What about these ministers? And when I asked you that question, you didn't give me an obfuscatory answer. You answered it honestly. And it's part of the same narrative, because the 18-year-old you would not have said. In fact, you were really clear because you couldn't see the attractiveness of your friend.
Well, I think he's also because he's butt ugly. And actually, I was actually the person they were talking about, those two women. I'm sure of it now. You've convinced me. You've convinced me.
You are very pretty. Hey, you had garlic croutons stuck between your teeth last week.
Oh yes, did you get some? Did you make some and get them stuck between your teeth?
No, I didn't. I had a bite of a granary loaf and I nearly cracked a tooth.
Oh, I've done that. Actually cracked a tooth on a granary loaf.
Granary loaves you shouldn't be allowed to sell them.
And you shouldn't be able to sell them unto people in their 40s. It was terrifying and expensive. But it didn't crack it.
No, I think what happened was this is so interesting for anybody listening. I
Yeah.
think the granary
I mean,
chunk.
they've dealt with anal douches and neti pots. How bad can it possibly get?
No, it doesn't get gross. I think what happened was that it was a big chunk of seed that went in between my back tooth and my wisdom tooth, so my very back tooth.
Yeah.
And I think what
Have you
happened
not had
was,
them out?
No, I've got all 4 of my wisdom teeth.
Oh, that's where
Yeah.
they differ.
Mine just... What a shock this might come to anybody who's ever met me, that there is a lot of space in my mouth because it's quite big.
We were going to call this podcast Big Mouths, of course, but it would have only been half right.
As my dad would say, I have a mouth cut with a shovel.
Does he say that?
He says that about people like me with big mouth.
But he hasn't said it of you.
I think he might have said it of me and of himself and probably of my mother, because we all have, as in just the kind of physiologically, not, although the rest is true.
Not culturally.
We have big mouths, yeah. But my wisdom teeth just sort of,
They're just
noticed
fine
them.
there.
They just floated out.
They're
no
not
problem at all.
impacting in the non-impact sense of the word.
Super comfy. Never had a problem with them.
Oh.
That was Jeff having a little bit of a
Yawn.
Bob shut the door. Yeah. So this bit of granary got stuck in between my wisdom tooth and the one in front of it, and I didn't know that, and I bit down, and I didn't hear a crack, but I felt this searing pain. But I think what happened was I effectively sprained my tooth rather than broke it. And over the course of the last week, it's calmed down.
I can hear David Corbett just go, you can't sprain it. Oh, just you sprain ligaments, mate.